my Twitter here real quick and see if it worked.
It did.
Nice. All right. I'm going to assume that due to have on today, we're going to have a few new viewers hopping in at some point, possibly following us on social media and YouTube. So for those new viewers, just give them a little background about what Fade the Mahoney is. We like to call ourselves the best fake sports gambling show in the world. We typically have really good people on the show who are very bad at gambling. And that with the name Fade the Mahoney. If you just do the opposite of what I'll say, you'll generally make quite a bit of money. But every once in a while, we mix it up and we bring in people who actually know what the heck they're talking about. We've had David Baker on. We've had Tuck on a few times. So we've got David Tuchman and Daniel Negreanu joining us today to talk about NHL. We do a lot of NFL betting around here. And now that the over, we need a new fix. So we're hopeful that you guys will help us find the gateway drug. Does that sound cool?
Hey, I'm all about introducing gateway drugs to unsuspecting youth and people around the world. So this is what I do.
All right. We've had some really excellent shows recently, specifically one where we talked about rounders. People have liked that. Some of our recent guests who have been really bad at sports betting include Maria Ho, who got both championship games wrong. We spoke to Mac earlier in this week, who stuck like $15 million betting on sports recently. Joe Stapleton, who doesn't know what a spread is, was on a couple of times. DGAF, both Trevor and Jody Savage have been on. All these people are terrible. So let's see what you guys can do. I was going to turn this into a little bit of a game, if you guys wouldn't mind playing. A variety of NHL topics, games, awards, and futures. And I was hoping you guys could discuss, debate, potentially educate us. And then Edonk and I are actually going to take our real live money and bet on it. We're going to pair up with one of you. Edonk, since you're the original Mahoney, why don't you pick which one of these gentlemen you feel best about tailing? Who do you want to tail?
I will tail Tuck.
Okay. Daniel, you're stuck with me. I got a bunch of faith in you. Okay, buddy? We're each going to start with $1,000 bankroll. We're going to bet based upon what you guys suggest today. And whoever wins the most is actually going to collect an extra 1,000 from the other gentleman. We'll post all of our picks. And Tuchman, for today only, we are not sponsored by Bet River, Illinois.
I'm okay with that. with that. I have my hold on. I've got my my Bet Rivers hat though. Okay. I'm here for that. So
Right.
yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
As long
Hey,
as
you by the way, you followed me last night, right? You went 3-1.
I went 3-1.
Yeah. I was at the Oiler Kings game. It wasn't a very good, well played game by either team, but Oilers pulled it out for us.
Yeah. You hit the big underdog. That was.
The Islanders suck right now. I'm a diehard Islander fan. I know it. Daniel knows it as well. I have been on the Islanders the last 2 years because I know they were underrated. This year, the market has been slow to react to the fact that they suck.
Yeah, what did we get? I got 175 on that last night, I think, plus 175.
It's beauty.
That sound right?
It's beauty.
Okay, so I'm going to use all lines from Bet Rivers as long as they're available. We would appreciate if you give an opinion or a suggestion for a bet. If you would use our patented star rated system. 1 is you're only betting it because we make you. 5 is you're super confident. Or once during the entire episode, you can use the KL Cleaton special. He's been on the show a couple of times, good friend of the show. He uses an 11-star special, so you can use it once. And Daniel, I'd like to thank you for introducing KL Cleaton to the contest that you had a few years ago. He's a great dude. All right. First, let's do the 3 games tonight. Panthers at Hurricanes. We've got minus 113 for the Hurricanes. Panthers minus 105. You got a strong feeling about that game, Daniel?
What was the line again you said just now?
I've got the Hurricanes minus 113 with the Panthers minus 105.
So this is where I say 1, right? Like 1 as far as like confidence in this one. I mean, this is going to be a great game to watch. It's on TNT, which is a great broadcast. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying what they do with the halftime show and stuff like that. And then, of course, you got the Colorado Vegas later on that network too. But I'm partial to Carolina for fantasy hockey reasons. I like the team. I like how deep they are. Florida, of course, they can put up a 9 spot any night they choose. It seems like, but at home, I'll give Carolina the nod. Why not?
Okay, all right. So I'll be wagering on Carolina. Tuck, your thoughts?
I am equally not. I have very little conviction in this game at all. I mean, these are 2 of the best 4 or 5 teams in the league. I have Carolina at plus 2,200 to win the cup. They're really good. I don't think people realize just how good this Carolina Hurricanes team is. The Panthers, obviously, as Daniel said, super talented. I like I said, I mean, the fact that I'm getting a little bit of a better price on Florida, I would take Florida, but I also would go 1 star.
Okay. Looks like we'll be going head-to-head there. Cool. Next game, Ducks at Flames. The Flames are big favorites, minus 230, coming back with the Ducks at plus 190, Daniel.
Well, here's the thing. Calgary's playing great, right? I've never been a big fan of laying big juice, but if you put a gun to my head, I just don't see myself, taking Anaheim in this one just because Calgary's been as hot as balls. You know what I mean? They're not losing to anybody. And I don't see any reason why. Like right now, defensively, they're solid. They've got Markstrom playing great. They added Toffoli, which adds even more depth and stuff. And Anaheim feels like, they're actually way ahead of schedule, Anaheim, right? This was a team that was supposed to be really, really bad this year. But Zegras and Drysdale have really sort of made this team exciting to watch. Like they're actually fun to watch. But I do feel like that sort of early season, run they had is about to like come back to the mean. Because again, they're young. They're not that. When you have like Ryan Getzlaf, who's like 107 as your main, your number 1 center, it's hard to expect them to keep that up. So, I mean, it's hard to bet against Calgary. Again, I don't like laying minus 230, but I'm not betting Anaheim, so I'll take the Flames.
Okay.
Usually Daniel and I will argue on some things, but I everything he just said is spot on. I mean, Zegras is unbelievable. The guy's going to be an absolute superstar. I've got him. He's one of my bets to win the Calder. But yeah, the Flames are, pun intended, they are on fire. They brought Toffoli in. Markstrom's in net tonight. I would not bet against the Flames at home right now. No way. I mean, if you want to take a shot at it, you can go. I mean, if you don't want to lay the minus 230, you can even go minus 1.5 goals. I'm not usually a big fan of doing that. But at plus 112, minus 1.5 goals, I'd probably go that way if I was forced to bet this game.
All right. Well,
but I'll go 1 star on that one. That's not a high big one there either.
All right. If Edonk makes his way back on here, I'll make sure I'll pass that along to him. Okay, the big game. I know the first game was a couple of big time teams, and the late game also on TNT. Is that right, Daniel?
That's correct.
Yep. Avalanche at the Avalanche minus 137, Knights plus 118. Anybody who likes hockey, we should watch this game, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is huge, right? This is drama central. You got Jack Eichel, who hasn't played in an entire year. Of course, we have the drama with Mark Stone. There's this rumor of Fleury coming back. All kinds of hoopla here in Las Vegas. We certainly keep it interesting since we've been, in this league. But tonight's game is interesting. I'm surprised that the line is what it is. You feel like Vegas is going to be fired up, but again, it's a wild card variable with Jack Eichel. You do have Wasson in net because Lehner's hurt. But the team's turning the corner, I think. I think Vegas is pretty well. Colorado's like the creme de la creme, but Colorado played last night too, and they didn't do so well against Dallas. So, back-to-back nights, Vegas at home, pumped up to see Eichel. I know he's going to be giving it his all. It'll be interesting to see how many minutes he gets, right? I'm sure he, like Pete DeBoer said, if he could, he'd play 50 minutes in this game, but they'll have to, scale it back. But Vegas at home, even though they've been really bad this year at home, it's like the first season ever where they've been this bad on home ice. I'm going to go with just the Jack Eichel, late game winner and say that Vegas pulls this out plus 118.
Okay. That's where I'm going.
Okay, we this is where we hard disagree. Not only do I like Colorado, I love Colorado. I actually bet Colorado with my own money earlier today at minus 126. The line moved up to like minus 140. It settled back down to minus 137, but I got him at minus 126. Daniel already mentioned the home mystique, the Vegas flu, they used to call it the first couple of years. That's gone. I mean, Vegas is basically 14-12 at home this year. They're actually better on the road than they are at home. No Mark Stone tonight. No Robin Leonard tonight. They got their backup goaltender in there. And, Eichel is an amazing player, and I think everybody in Vegas should be excited about this guy. And I do think Vegas is going to make a lot of noise when they get to the playoffs because Eichel's going to be there. Stone's going to be there. Maybe Fleury will be there as well, as Daniel alluded to. But tonight, I mean, you're looking at Eichel, who hasn't played a competitive game in, 13, 14 months. And, no Mark Stone, no Leonard and net. Colorado has lost 2 games in regulation over the last 2 months. One was last night. They're going to come in angry. This is a game Colorado wants to win. I think Colorado, by the way, is going with their number 1 goaltender, Darcy Kemper, tonight. So I think Colorado is just, at this point tonight, Colorado is a better team. I don't care about the home ice. I'm heavy on Colorado. I'll give this one 4 stars. I would have given it 5 stars earlier today at minus 126, but at minus 137, I'll go 4 stars. That's
real live sports betting talk right there. That's a Sharpie. Edonk, I don't know what happened, if I hit something or what happened, but you missed that Tuchman likes the middle game, and he actually likes him on the puck line. He wants to get the plus 112 on the puck line.
That analysis of that Avalanche game sounded like some real Mahoney shit right there.
We're going to be going head to head.
Daniel knows his shit. Listen, I mean, Daniel's not somebody I would ever want to bet with. I think I've made 1 bet with Daniel in my life and I lost it. So the fact that he's on the other side is, the fact that he's on the other side is strong. I have no dog in this fight. I'm not a Vegas fan. I'm not a Colorado fan, but I think a lot of times people expect that, like, oh, guys coming back, and Eichel hasn't played a competitive hockey game in like 14 months.
For me, it's less about him actually coming back and his impact himself, but more, like part of what happened in Vegas too with COVID and stuff like that is, as David alluded to, we had the flu issue, and like the home crowd in Vegas really, really loud. Hasn't been, it hasn't been as packed. It will be tonight. I feel like the place is going to be rocking. That's going to give him a boost. And Wasson's been really, really good. He's well rested. He's been pretty good. Kemper, I mean, he's hit or miss, of course. I do think, and I agree with Tuchman on this, not having Stone in the lineup probably for the rest of the season is a big issue, because Stone has been sort of the medicine for, the McKinnons and that top line. Like, he's been the defensive player that has been able to shut them down. There's also another thing going against Vegas, which is obviously you're inserting Eichel, but you're also messing the lines up, right? So now you're going to have some new guys getting chemistry. The Golden Misfits line, that's not going to be the same tonight. They're going to make a slight change, putting Janmark on there, and Marchessault's going to drop down to the third with Stevenson. And Waugh on the right, the 4th line's a lot different than it was. But then you got this brand new top line. So there's a lot of wild card variables, but I'm just a sucker for like plus money. And when you take like a really good team at home plus money against the team that played last night and not so well, again, as he mentioned, they're using their starter tonight. So they're obviously taking this game more seriously than they did last night. So, I mean, sounds like Tuchman's really, really like hot on Colorado. Can't blame him for a lot of reasons, but maybe it's a little bit of Vegas homer in me, that, and also like home ice money. I got to do it, even though they suck this year at home. I just feel like this game tonight is going to like recreate a little bit of like the home ice advantage they've had in past years.
By the way, I think the problem with Vegas last year probably is their number 1 and number 2 lines can play with anybody in the NHL and win. It was a little bit of depth issues, but the fact that you bring in Eichel and you can drop, Marchessault and you can make a good third line now. This Vegas team is going to be really dangerous in a month or two. I do think that. And I think you're right, by the way. If you can bet on a top 5 NHL team at home on plus money, you're gonna do well over the long run, especially against a team on a back after a back-to-back. I just think I think last night was a case of Colorado hasn't lost in a long time, and that was a little bit of a look-ahead game. This one's on national TV, as you said. It's on TNT. Colorado, this could be an ugly game. Yeah, we'll see.
Be a good one. I think this is going to be a good one. And again, like the fact that it's on TNT, they really learn. Like TNT just knows how to do it. They obviously did it with Shaq and Barkley, and they created that cool vibe. And they've done a decent job, sort of with the NHL guys that they did, have on the show. Is having that NHL vibe in a cool way. Like Biz Nasty's great on the show. He's a key figure. In sort of like keeping it fun and light. So it's enjoyable. Like I enjoy watching the intermissions as much as I do the games when it's on TNT.
Yeah.
Daniel, how much do we like this one on the star basis?
Well, I mean, again, I like the price again at home, so I'll give it a 3-star thingy.
All right.
Daniel, I legitimately thought that there was going to be a side bet between you and me in this game. I was like, okay, because I bet on the game earlier today, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll bet a little bit less because Daniel's going to want to bet on Vegas.
I just, I'm so entrenched in my fantasy stuff that I don't even like. I'm just like, I'm focused on that so much. So I haven't been looking at, the lines as often. But when I heard Vegas plus 118, they're very rarely home dogs. It makes sense that they are here. But I mean, anytime you can get them at home, I think it's worth a shot.
By the way, I will tell people, and if you are not a hockey fan and you want to get into it, tonight is a good night. You have arguably the 4 best teams in the NHL, or 4 of the 5 maybe. Tampa Bay Lightning not playing tonight, but 4 of the 5 on national TV playing against each other.
Yeah, that's why they've been hot. It's hard to.
Yeah, Calgary's great too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who announces on TNT?
What'd you say, you don't?
Who are the announcers on TNT?
It's not Miss Hextall. She's the only one that I literally cannot watch the broadcasts on ESPN, and it's not a sexist thing. Okay, there's nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. I think she's really bad at the job. Okay, so when she does those late night games, I just have to watch them on mute. I put them on one of my alternate TVs. But yeah,
in fairness, I hate what is it, Bucharest, the guy who does it.
Bucharest.
I can't stand him either. But I'm spoiled. We have my Islander broadcast guy is Brendan Burke, who they've used him for a lot of national broadcasts. He's amazing. So I'm kind of spoiled.
My favorite, actually, by far, is Ken Danico. He does the New Jersey.
He's good, yeah.
Teams. He's a poker player too. He's a good dude. Like he knows his stuff. His delivery's good. He's got a good deep voice. No lull in the action. Yeah, I just enjoy listening to Kenny.
I was a huge Blackhawks fan when they were making a bunch of their runs, and Eddie Olczyk was the man, right? So
I remember when Eddie
really
played
fun to listen
to Maple Leafs, and scored those spinoramas back in like freaking 80s or whatever.
Eddie O.
All right, that gives some people, in addition to the E-Donk and myself, it gives people some stuff to bet on for tonight. But you had said, Tuck, a couple months down the road, you thought Vegas would be a little. Can we talk about some futures as far as divisions and conference go?
Sure. Futures are generally kind of a sucker bet unless you can really get a dog, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, we do lots of sucker bets around here.
There you go.
Sorry.
We're all about that.
I'm going to skip the Central Division unless either of you have any strong feelings that someone is going to miraculously come back and pass Colorado.
Oh, you mean to win the division, not to come out of the division?
Yep.
Well, yeah, they're not going to. They're winning the division, but there's a team in there that I think. I just think a team there that's in that Central that is really built for the playoffs. They won the Cup recently. They're deep. They're big. It's hard to even say, and I'm sure you can figure out who I'm talking about in a minute. It's hard to even say who their top line is, the second line, the third line, and that's the St. Louis Blues. They're like interchangeable right now. They're big, they're heavy. They're, Binnington's no longer the starter. They're going with Husso, but they've got at least, 2 options there. Solid defensive. Like St. Louis is a team that my sleeper team out of the Central to do well in the playoffs. Obviously, like you said, Colorado's winning the division, no question. Yeah,
the problem with the Blues is, and I think it's kind of the theme of the West, Daniel, is goaltending across the board. Does any team have reliable goaltending that you'd feel like ironclad? Yeah, it's safe. Winnipeg's got it, but Winnipeg doesn't have a team. Huh?
I'm a big Markstrom fan.
Okay, that's fair. Calgary's got Markstrom.
He's
right.
Solid, and he's been solid all year. Like I think Calgary's second or third in the league in goals against this year, and he's a big reason why.
Yeah, That's a good shout.
All right, so let's start with the Atlantic Division. Panthers, Lightning, Leafs, and Bruins, ranging from plus 120 down to, well, I guess the Bruins aren't going to win it, but Panthers, you can get plus 120, Lightning plus 175, and the Leafs plus 210. What do you like there, Tuck?
I mean, honestly, nothing real. I mean, I think it's going to be Florida or Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't think the Leafs quite have that. My guess is, the Panthers probably take the regular season a little bit more seriously than the Lightning do. I mean, the Lightning are back-to-back champions. They don't give a shit about the. I mean, they literally sleep for half a game. They were losing to the Devils 3-1 yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, we're playing hockey," and then they won 6-3.
Yeah,
so
I gotta agree with you so much on this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off because Tampa gets it. They don't give a shit where they match up. They just want to be rested and healthy. They understand that these regular season games, you don't go 100%. This is a mistake the Vegas Golden Knights have been making every season, trying to, get that 1 seed, and then they run into Montreal Canadiens, who are awful, and they lost because they were gassed. They had no energy.
Yeah, I thought the year, by the way, and sorry to cut you off, the year that Fleury played, I don't even know, 67 games, and then was just drop dead exhausted in the playoffs. I was like, why is he playing so many games? You need him in the playoffs. You're going to make the playoffs.
If you do look at two teams there, though, like Florida and Toronto, you mentioned both, of course, those teams, they're in a different space than Tampa. They can't rest in their laurels. Toronto desperately, and so same with Florida, really. There's a lot on the line here for these teams to win the division. Because if you don't, you face a death match, right? Yeah. If you end in the 2 or the 3 spot in the Atlantic, you got either, you're either looking at a Tampa-Florida matchup, Tampa-Toronto, Florida-Toronto. That's no fun for any of those teams. And for the Leafs, they've got a lot riding on this because they've been perennial first-round losers, when they've had this rebuild with Matthews. And unfortunately, if they don't win the division, I can't imagine, that I think that's probably going to happen to them again. So for them, I think they have the most incentive to win the division. But Jack Campbell's sort of come back to earth a little bit. He hasn't been as good. So again, we talk about goaltending. So I would actually think if I had to pick a team, I'm going to go with Florida winning that division.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got 2 teams in hand over Tampa, and they're only 1 point back. So you have to say, percentage points. So they're actually ahead by, 20 right now.
All right. What about the Metropolitan? Hurricanes are a decent favorite at minus 135. You think Pittsburgh has any chance of passing them? You can get them at plus 175.
I think for sure. I mean, Pittsburgh was a team that I was dead wrong on. I don't know about you, Daniel. I mean, this is a team. It's they're on paper. You're
3 years. They're supposed to.
I mean,
they just don't.
You're like, okay, Crosby's now 40. Malkin's can't stay healthy. He's 38. And you're just looking at it going, how do they keep doing it? But the fact of the matter is this team has amazing depth. I mean, they just come at you in waves. They've got a lot more talent than people think. Their defense is better than people think. I watched them last year in the playoffs. What?
Yeah. Their number 1 center is a grinder, and his name is Sidney Crosby. He's a grinder, right? And it's he just embodies, the entire team embodies Crosby. When Crosby was out, Malkin was out, Letang is out, they got nobody. They still find a way to win with this grinding defensive style. You got to take your hat off to Mike Sullivan for finding a way to make it work. But again, I don't think that they're going to win the division. You look at Carolina right now, they got 4 games in hand, 3 points back, and they've got a lot more depth, I think, too. So, I mean, I think this is Carolina's to lose. The Rangers are obviously, in the conversation as well, and they've been fun to watch. Big fan of Gerard Gallant. Of course, Reeves played here too. But I think Calgary wins that one. Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's obviously most likely to win it. I mean, Pittsburgh's playing just some great hockey. They have surprised me time and time again. This is a team that I think is still underrated. When you're thinking about the best teams in the league, they're a clear step below the Tampa Bays, the Floridas, the Colorados, but they're right behind that group. I mean, they're in that St. Louis Blues territory and probably better, in my opinion. I don't know if I trust Jari in the playoffs.
Equal, no.
A good friend of ours really likes the Penguins because naturally they're on the ice, They're Arctic animals.
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes a lot of sense.
It's very.
That is a bad dad joke, Edonk.
That's the usual level of analysis that we get on this show. So you guys are really raising the IQ. What do we got left? Pacific, is that right?
Yep.
At minus 118. The Knights are plus 125. The other two don't appear to have a chance. You think there's any value on Vegas to win the division?
At plus 118?
Plus 125.
Plus one. Well, see, the thing is, it's like a two-team race, right?
Okay.
You know, you look at it that way. So two-team race, and it's pretty close. Obviously, you know, Calgary's got the upper hand now. That, you know, 2 games in hand, and they are up a point. But I don't know. But this is probably homerish. But if I was going to pick a team to win the division, partly because they care way too much, as I said, it's the opposite syndrome of Tampa Bay, which they'll, you know, relax. Vegas seems to go the other way and like continues to go all out, you know, down the stretch to try to win the division. And I think that, you know, Calgary's been super hot. It's hard to bet against them, but plus 125 in what I consider pretty close to a coin flip situation, I would probably go with a couple bucks on the Vegas Golden Knights winning the division. Again, a lot of that hinges on whether or not Jack Eichel just dislocates his neck again and is gone for the rest of the year. Like, we don't know. You know, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll go on Calgary. This is not a bet that I'm going to make per se, but if you're forcing me to pick, I'll take Calgary simply because, you know, originally when Vegas was bringing in Eichel, they figured they had to trade a player to fit his salary in. But there's a cool little loophole that Tampa Bay was able to do last year with Kucherov that it looks like Vegas is going to do with Mark Stone. And if Mark Stone is going to miss the rest of the regular season, then I just wonder how good Vegas is going to be the rest of the way. They're still going to be a good team, but I'm not sure they'll be good enough to get ahead of Calgary, who looks like they're just getting better. There's also a question of, I don't know if Vegas can add anything now. They might add Fleury, but I don't know what else they can add.
Is getting Alec Martinez back and Zach Whitecloud, who are both out, right? Yeah. And they help a lot. You know,
when is Martinez back?
He's actually healthy again, except he had COVID. And then he's got some long haul symptoms from his COVID, similar to what Janmark went through earlier in the season. So that's real dangerous because even when Janmark came back, he was like a shell of his former self. Yeah. And people were wondering, like, what's wrong with this guy? And he could barely breathe. You know, he's got some people it happens to, right? So that doesn't bode well. But Martinez he's an integral part of the defense because he's literally, you know, top of the league when it comes to block shots. You look at the goals against average for Vegas this year. Last year they finished number 1 in the league. This year, they're probably around 20th. And a big reason for that is not having Martinez back there blocking shots. So you look at Lehner, you know, his goals above save is quite good. It's like 5 or 6. He's doing fine. He's doing well. But the types of chances that they're giving up are, you know, much more significant, partly in part because of DeBoer's, you know, style, and he's bringing the defenseman in to pinch a little bit. But I think having Martinez and Whitecloud, who's also he's been great. He's been a great addition. Bottom 6 guy who's, you know, defensively responsible. So those are the ads that they're going to look at, I would say. You know, Lehner, it appears as though it's a short-term injury, but if not, you know, potentially they add, and they could if they put him on LTIR and do the same thing. But I don't see that happening. I think Lehner's going to be the guy. And as you said, Tuck, there's no room to add, and I don't see any adding happening. This is the team that will be in the playoffs. Yeah, the only reason I wouldn't bet on Vegas to win the division, but I could bet that on them in the playoffs is Mark Stone. If Mark Stone is going to be held out because of salary cap circumvention, then I don't want to put my money on him right now. But
all right, can we hopefully get some decent sized plus bets down here on the conference winners? Let's start in the West. Colorado is plus 165. Vegas is plus 300. Calgary plus 700. If you want me to go lower than that, I can look. Wait, is this to like finish with the best regular season record, or
no? This is to come out and in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay.
To win the conference. Do you want to start, Tuck?
Not really, but sure. I mean, okay, I'll give you who I bet on, and then I think Colorado is probably going to come out of the West, but they have some depth issues. They have goaltending issues. Kemper can't stay healthy. You know, Vegas could be an absolute juggernaut when Eichel and Stone are paired up. I mean, when that whole team is intact, they could be a juggernaut. You know, we talked about goaltending, and hot goaltender can take you a far way. Calgary Flames, this is a really good team. And Markstrom is great. I don't think the Blues at plus 1,000, I guess, are intriguing. I just don't think the Preds have enough going on, although I do like their goaltending. And there's nobody else below there that I think. I mean, Edmonton's not doing it.
All right. So you like plus 165, Edonk. You'll be betting plus.
No, I'll go Calgary. If you're telling me I've got to kick a kind of a long shot more. I'm going to go Calgary plus 700.
All right. Plus 700. Daniel, your thoughts?
So you said St. Louis was plus 1,000?
They
Yeah.
are. Yep.
Like I said, I kind of like the way that team is built for the playoffs. And you get Vegas at 3-1.
Yeah.
Plus 300.
Yep.
I look at those two, and those ones, like both of those teams look interesting to me. Again, I'm not really a guy who would, bet long shots like that. And I guess it would be depending on like what I'm looking to do. If I'm looking to have some fun on a real long shot, of course I go St. Louis. If I look at somebody who I really think has a very legitimate chance, I would go, I would take the plus 300 on Vegas and run with it. So, but those are the two teams that speak to me. Colorado, you mentioned Tuchman, some of their issues. Like, this is a team that's done a lot of damage this regular season, and I wonder how similar their issues will be to Toronto Maple Leafs in the past couple of years about transitioning to more of a playoff style game. And again, the goaltending issue. Kemper has had good seasons in the past, but it's been sort of like, I don't trust him, like you said, as much as I would Markstrom. Like, I'd much rather do what you're doing, which is take Calgary plus 700 than bet anything on Colorado to come out of the Western Conference.
All right, let's go to the East. Who do we like in the East? Panthers are plus 375. Lightning are the same. Hurricanes plus 450. Leafs plus 450. I can go deeper if you need it. What do you think on that one, Daniel?
What was Tampa Bay?
Plus 375.
Okay, so until it's like people say this in poker. They ask me like, who's the greatest? And I was like, until somebody knocks Phil Ivey off the all-time great list of like all the games and all that kind of stuff, I don't care. He's not playing as much or whatever. Until you can knock him off, he's going to be my GOAT. And right now, Tampa Bay, is the elite. Like, when it comes to playoff hockey, they've done it. And plus 375 on the two-time champ. I don't think they got much worse this year. Obviously, that third line they had the last year was a real killer, but they did decent to get Corey Perry, who's having a good year. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who's defensively responsible. So even though they're going to have a tough road, Tampa, depending on who their first round matchup is, I see a Vegas Golden Knight Tampa Bay Lightning final.
All right, Tuck.
Yeah, it's a good shot. I mean, I do think the Tampa Bay is going to miss that third line. Yanni Gourde, Blake Coleman, that depth was huge. And watching them play against the Islanders the last 2 years in the playoffs, they were a thorn in our side each playoffs. They're just so good. I mean, obviously the Braden Points and the Kucherovs of the world, they're amazing. But everybody at that level has amazing players. So does Toronto, Vegas, all of them. I like Carolina at plus 450. I think that's a really nice price. I think this is a really, really good team. Tony DeAngelo, say what you will about him as a person, but as a hockey player, that was just an amazing signing if you just look at it from hockey. They have not missed a beat. I mean, they lost Dougie Hamilton, and their power play has not missed a beat. Tony DeAngelo has been great on the power play. Slavin is good there. Freddie Anderson was brought in to play goal. He's been really solid. If their goaltending holds up, and that's been the real question in Carolina, this team is really, really good. And it won't be easy, but because the East is just tough. But at plus 450, I think that's nice value.
All right, and who do you got winning it, Tuck?
I'm gonna stick with I don't know. I guess winning it. What do we get? What are the odds right here? Let me look real quick.
You can get 11-1 on Carolina, and Calgary is 15-1.
Vegas is plus 700.
It's gonna be really tough for them to win it if they don't even make it. You didn't even pick them to make it.
Yeah, but it's just a value thing. I'm looking for I'm looking for where I'm gonna put my money. I'll go Carolina plus 1100. I will say, like I said, full disclosure, I have already bet on Carolina, but I have them at plus 2200.
All right,
which I like
Daniel?
Significantly more.
Daniel,
well, I'm gonna make the homer pick. I'm gonna make the pick that's going to potentially change the rules. The Kucherov, Eichel, Stone, whatever you want to call it, rule. I think it's tough for teams to fade a team that's like 10 million over the cap, and they do so with players that are still in their prime. A lot of it's going to depend on whether or not Stone's back injuries, because like Stone did play last season in the playoffs, and he was just not good. He was terrible because he couldn't play. He had that back problem. So a lot will ride on whether Mark Stone wins it. But I think this is their year. I do. I think like all the pieces come together, and they find a way to beat Tampa Bay in the final.
all right.
I will say, listen, while I'm not betting on Vegas, I like Vegas a lot better at plus 700 than I do Colorado at plus 475. I just don't. I think that Vegas team, like you said, I mean, this loophole. I mean, Vegas just added a $10 million player, and they were already good.
And we're losing nothing. Well, we did.
Right.
That's not true because we did lose, a young rookie in Peyton Krebs, but more importantly, Alex Tuch, who's been better than point per game in Buffalo, playing on the top line, and finally getting the chance to shine that he didn't get here in Las Vegas. So we had to give up something, but it was something necessary, I think, for the playoffs, because one thing that Vegas kept doing in the playoffs the last couple seasons is running into teams that just said, all right, you guys play on the perimeter all you like. Take these stupid shots. You can have 50, you can have 60 shots tonight. You're not getting any good ones because you don't have the game breakers to break down a defense that collapses. They do now. They have a center that can, and his name is Jack Eichel. So if he's, he can return to form, I think, this could be the year for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think also Vegas' Achilles heel at least last year was their power play, and without a good power play, you cannot succeed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Eichel on that power play could be, him, Shea Theodore, that power play could be electric.
I would say Eichel, before Eichel was even rumored to come here, my favorite player to watch in the league before the trade in overtime on 3-on-3 is Jack Eichel. When you watch him on 3-on-3, it's electric. He's such a great skater. He's so skilled, so fun to watch. I remember when Buffalo came to Vegas and played, I was like, oh my God, this guy's like a cheat code.
He's amazing.
Obviously in the playoffs, you don't have any 3-on-3, but I am excited to see. I'm really excited about tonight. It's a great night for hockey. Like you said, Tuchman, earlier, that, if you're new to hockey, this is a night to watch because it's going to be some solid drama. For
sure. I'm a little bit biased. My favorite 3-on-3 player is Barzal.
Oh, yeah, good one too.
But I admit bias.
Of course, yeah.
All right. You guys have been super generous with your time. We've got some bets I've got written down that we're going to get into between Edonk and I. We're going to make some bets. Quick through some of the major awards. I've got a market for those. Just, a quick sentence or two if you think there's any value in the awards. Is that cool?
I will tell you that, listen, the Calder Trophy, the Rookie of the Year, that is one of the most value bets if you can make it in August and September and October. At this point, it's already kind of been flushed out. But if you are in the know, and Daniel is certainly one of those guys, he plays fantasy hockey, I do as well. If you are one of the guys in the know, you're just ahead of the game. Last year, I was all over Kaprizov. The standout player in Minnesota, he won it. This year, I was on Zegras early. Then I jumped on Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider. And it's probably going to be one of those three guys. Maybe I get screwed because Lundell in Florida ends up winning it all. But
the betting market says you've got the three.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I got Seider at plus 1,400. I got Raymond at
whether or not Moritz Seider wins or not, he should. He absolutely deserves it because I don't think people really understand how much more difficult it is for a defenseman, a young defenseman, to come into the league as a rookie because of the added responsibility that they have, right? Playing a two-way game. It's you often don't see, like you look at a Rasmus Dahlin who's finally coming into his own 3 seasons in, despite being, a phenom. It's so much more difficult. And the poise that Moritz Seider has shown, he's like, Detroit's new Nicholas Lidstrom. This guy, as far as I'm concerned, and you've got some flashy players like Zegras and Raymond and whatnot, but I think this should be an award that goes to Moritz Seider if we're looking at it in terms of all right, who's actually been the best player? Not the best stats necessarily, because forwards are always going to have, better numbers than defensemen typically. But, who's the most integral rookie right now? Who's the guy most want to have right now? Moritz Seider.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Seider, build a team around a defenseman like Seider. He plays 22 minutes a game already. He's a monster. He's a baby too. But
he was an amazing pick too, because listen.
Oh, 6th overall, and people panned him. Stevie Y was like, he took a lot of heat for that.
He wasn't even thought to go into maybe the late 2nd or early 3rd round. And they picked him with the 6th overall pick. And people are like, well, who the hell is this guy? They don't even know who he is. And it's like, all right, well, the Detroit Brass, they knew what they were getting, and they got a good one.
Yeah, the only criticism you could make is if you were the only team that was on him, that high on him, could you trade down and still get him later on? But maybe they just thought, somebody else wants him too.
While I think to play, right, when you do that, because you really, really want a guy, and then you wait, how long do you wait? It might be worth it to just get him.
Yeah, by the way, while I think Seider should win it, I think, voters are human, and I think he and Raymond split that kind of Midwest vote. And Zegras has just had so many highlight reel goals.
Yeah.
And he's kind of on an island out here in Anaheim. I think Zegras ends up winning it.
I would give Zegras the award for most influential hockey player in the league this year.
Dude,
You know?
I can't even tell you, Daniel, you'll love this. So my kid plays hockey, and I'm coaching. I coach a mite team. I coach an under 8 team. And I can't tell you how many times now in practice, in the beginning of practice, we give the kids all they have 10 minutes of free time. Shoot, stick handle, do whatever you want. Every single kid is doing the Michigan. Everyone. I got 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds all trying it.
Super fun. I mean, no matter what John Tortorella says, like the dinosaur, it's stuff like that is really good for the game. And Zegras, if you watch the All-Star game, just his breakaway challenge, it's insane. Even if it's choreographed, it's holy shit, dude.
It's amazing.
A lot of the other NHLers are I don't even know how he does that. You know, so he would be the most influential in terms of for the future of hockey. He's also kind of a fun, nerdy. He's kind of like a surfer. He reminds me of Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's kind of
he's perfect. Yeah, he is perfect for California.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect for Orange County. There's no doubt about it.
Yep, for sure.
All right. So we gave you Calder, Mike.
Yeah,
what else?
What's the coach one? Jack Adams, right?
Ooh, that's a good one.
The favorite is plus 700. So if you guys can pick this one, Mike Sullivan is the favorite at plus 700. Then it goes to Rod Brindamore, Gerard Gallant.
I think I think Sullivan's got to be at this point. Finally, does Sullivan finally get his due? I mean, Pittsburgh, each and every year in the East, where you look at it going, okay, which team is the team on the out? Which team is not going to make it this year? Plus 700 is a pretty good price for Sullivan.
I'll tell you what I think, though. I typically what I've noticed over the years when it comes to Coach of the Year is they're always looking at teams that did really poorly the previous year, and all of a sudden we're in the playoffs, right? And that team this year, it's not Pittsburgh, it's the Rangers, right? Gerard Gallant all of a sudden, comes on board, and they're solidly in a playoff spot. I think this award is up for grabs, and the last 30 games will dictate where it goes. If Pittsburgh wins the division, Mike Sullivan, goes to the top of the list, of course. But if Gallant, continue to push and crack the top 3 there, and Pittsburgh fades a little bit. But I like both of those two. I don't know that Brindamore is going to win this. Calgary was already a good team last year. He didn't win it. I think it's a two-man race, but I would take the better price and go with Gallant because of the fact that, they've shown the biggest improvement. Pittsburgh's been good for, over a decade. And the Rangers, this is their resurgence after the rebuild. Gallant's already won it once, though, so that's a knock against him. It's stupid the way that this world works, but it's no. He already won one. Let's give it to the next guy. They don't think about who deserves it the most. You're let's make sure, the Oscar. Well, who hasn't got one? Leo didn't get one. Let's give one to Leo. Oh, Will Smith. Let's give him one. It's kind of silly. So that's probably a knock against Gallant. But, I still think he's got a shot to win it with New York.
All right. Any value going against McDavid for the Hart Trophy? You guys got any thoughts on anybody other than him winning it?
I haven't given that one much thought.
Let me look.
Ovechkin.
There's always, listen, you can get a good price on somebody. There's always a chance somebody gets injured. It's hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always laugh at that when one guy is just a huge favorite and the next player up who would win it. All you need is, you pull a groin and you're out for a month, and then suddenly that guy's gone.
You look at Huberdeau, right? Florida does score in bunches, and they pad their stats, In a 6-1 game, they'll still have their first power play out there, right? They're just trying to pound people. So Huberdeau, he's in on a lot of them. He's at 64 points now. You see McDavid and Draisaitl at 66. So I don't know if as a long shot, I would think it's a possibility.
Okay. All right. I covered any market I didn't cover that you guys have a strong feeling about. Any of the other make or miss the playoffs? Anybody you think that's out that's going to get back in, or vice versa, that I should look up? Or do you think we've covered?
I would look closely personally at the price in the Dallas Stars. Right. Currently, they've got one game in hand and they're 1 point out behind both the Kings and the Ducks at 55. But I think the Dallas Stars are good. I'm surprised their record is not even that bad. They're 26-19-2. But they're hit or miss. Like you saw last night, they took on Colorado and they manhandled them pretty good. So, if they can just continue to win the games they're supposed to win, which has been sort of the Achilles heel in a lot of cases with Dallas. I think that team can go on a run here and be a problem for a lot of the top teams in the conference.
I see them as minus 135 to make the
Really?
playoff.
Wow. Okay, and they're out of it right now, so that's interesting.
So people are thinking the same way you do.
Yeah, Dallas is a good shout. I mean, I think Los Angeles and Anaheim have been fading, and people are kind of expecting them to fade. Neither team was really supposed to be in the playoffs. Dallas is a team, and I'll just echo what Daniel just said. Dallas is a team with the goaltending woes and question marks in the Western Conference. Nobody wants to face Dallas in that first round. I'm telling you right now. I mean, if you're Colorado, if you're Calgary, if you're that is not a team you want to face, because that's a team that has some veterans. They're playoff savvy. I mean, they've had success in the playoffs over the last couple of years when they were there. So yeah,
well, we got some dynamic young players too with Rupe Hintz and
Oh.
Jason Robertson. Both, like Jason Robertson's come out of nowhere. I know this because I have both on my fantasy team. But Robertson's a guy who the knock on him coming into the draft was like he can't skate and he's an awkward skater. But you know what he does do in every league that he's ever played? Score a bunch of goals, right? So he's proven that the skating issues haven't been one, and he's continually, after his rookie season where he was right there with Kiprusoff, he's continued to thrive in Dallas, and I think that they're well balanced. They can continue to get good goaltending, like Tuchman said. I wouldn't want if I were the Vegas Golden Knights, I would hate to have Dallas as my first round matchup. It's one of the worst matchups you can have.
All right, done pretty long. I got a few questions I was hoping to ask Daniel. Tuchman, you okay for a few more minutes, or you want to bounce?
Let me bounce. I got to go because I got to get over to Hustler Casino for this for a live stream tonight.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and I will see you later. Daniel, good luck to you, my friend.
You too, bud.
It'd
Later,
be
buddy.
cool. It'd be cool if it works out and you guys are interested. If we could circle back maybe right before the playoffs start, just to maybe catch up on how we did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot changes. Trade deadline is in about, I want to say, like 3 weeks. And it's really interesting right around trade deadline where you see what teams kind of went for it, what teams sold. And, there's oftentimes a lot of changes happen there. And it does affect the betting lines. So,
Okay, cool.
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks, Tuck. Daniel, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Couldn't name a single Taylor Swift song.
Oh.
I'm not a Taylor Swift. She's a nice person, I guess, but I'm not. That's not my genre. I don't know. I don't even know. I really couldn't name a song that Taylor Swift has made. Shockingly.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on to the next musical question. We've started a Fade the Mahoney playlist recently, and I'm asking all guests to give me a song to add to it that they like that not necessarily many people know of. So,
all right, there's a new band that they were on SNL, and I freaking love them. And I want to make sure I get the name of the song right. The name of the song, they have two big hits. It's actually an Italian rock band, and it's called, I think it's,
I wanna be a slave.
oops. That's I Want to Be Your Slave. They have two songs. One is called Beggin', and one is I Want to Be Your Slave. Maneskin. It's Maneskin. Yeah.
Maneskin. Oh, it looks like Maine. I am adding it right now. Awesome. All right. Question I ask all people. Last year, after the Lakers got knocked out of the NBA playoffs, they were done playing. No more TV time for them. LeBron James thought it was important to announce to the world that he was changing his jersey number for the following year so that the spotlight would stay on him. If you had a word or a phrase to describe that kind of behavior, what would you use?
Uninteresting.
I have we do this thing on here where I read LeBron James tweets, and usually most people can't find them because I make them up. This is a real one. After the Rams won the Super Bowl, this is what LeBron James tweeted out. We, Dodgers and Rams, joint parade together with a live concert afterwards to end it. City of Champions. They didn't even win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a question. I just like to point out when LeBron James does goofy stuff. Edonk had a poker-related question he wanted to ask you. because I think some people would like to hear a little bit of poker, if that's okay. We got nothing. Can you hear him, Daniel?
Nope.
Edonk, try again. Nope. All right, I'll ask the question. He just wanted what your opinion was on the whole the Ivy and the Bacharach thing. Did you have a strong opinion about him not getting the money?
Yeah, pretty strong opinion. They screwed him. It's like absolutely a terrible precedent. They should be ashamed of themselves. You offer a game, right, in your casino. One of your customers says, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you say, okay. You make you agree to all the game terms or whatever. And you offer faulty cards on your end, right? How is that on me, right? It's absolutely ridiculous because they're free rolling him. Even though he had an advantage, he could have lost, right? And if he lost, he's going to lose the money. So that's not right. They shouldn't be able to free roll him like that. Absolutely unfair. I have a very strong opinion. They're scumbags for doing that.
The correct two words, free roll and scumbag. Absolutely. Daniel, you've been super generous with your time. I thank you very much. As I mentioned right before Tuchman left, if you're interested, we'd love to have you back before the playoffs start. Catch up on how all of our bets have done. So we can discuss that off air. If you don't want to come back on, I understand, but this has been great.
All right, guys. We'll have a good one.
Coincidentally, at the end of March, a bunch of us community that were in the Fade the Mahoney family / DGF community, we're all going to be in Vegas at the end of March. And Edonk, I'm not sure you're aware of this, but on Saturday, March 26th, the Blackhawks are playing against the Knights in Vegas. So that would be kind of cool. So I suspect you go to many of the games, right, Daniel?
I will be I will be soon.
Okay, not tonight. We're watching it on TNT.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Daniel Negreanu joined Fade the Mahoney to talk NHL betting. That's awesome. Daniel, thanks a lot for your time. You've been a great sport, and I'm going to be tailing all of your bets, and hopefully I will beat Edonk and win all his money. So thanks a lot.
All right, guys. Have a good night.